I'll give you the streaming link, and then I'll show you. Okay, I'll show you what you should be seeing.
I mean, you're talking, Lynn, you're talking about my group on settings, right? My group settings, right?
Just group profile. Let me share my screen. Hang
Because
on.
all those boxes are checked already. I mean, they are checked by default. Huh?
Okay. Well, I'm just checking with people who didn't receive the notification. They might have unclicked it. So let me give you the link to the streaming. Okay. So
can I? Okay, you are in the group profile. Can you go to notices? You have general, member, and roles, and then you have notices.
Okay,
You see that?
I'm working on it. Short moment.
Okay. So I'm going to try sending a notification.
I'm sure that we will receive that.
Okay, let's see.
Mm-hmm. That's because that's different.
Okay, what's the date? I'll try and put a date on them because otherwise you don't know what to delete and what's current. 1-31. Okay, so group message, no attachment, send.
Now it pops out. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pops up. Yeah.
Hey, April,
Yeah,
did it
that's
pop
different.
up for you?
Yes. It's
Traum, has it popped up for you?
Notices. And you see, Lynn, in the group profile, the last, the one that you think you have sent us, it doesn't appear on that on the box. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, this one was.
Okay. So I will try to remember in future to send it via this notices.
Exactly. I can just check all these messages, even if I wasn't here. Okay, but the other group chat is completely different. So it's for people
you have to be logged
who are
in.
online.
Thank you, Monik.
Yeah, I know something.
Yeah.
Something.
Well, I just don't use it. I've not used it before. Traum, you were trying to say
have
something.
to use a lot of.
So, Lynn, I got your notice, and now it disappeared. But I could read what you are going to tell us.
So in the future, I will try to. I was using group chats, thinking you would get the message. So I will use group notifications for when we're on a different sim and when you need to TP, ask me for a TP. I mean, I'll always try to keep my eyes open to see when you log in, but sometimes I don't notice and people then log out and think I wasn't here. So in the future, I'll use group notifications. Hey, goody, it works.
And it appears also in the group chat, Lynn.
It looks like it, yeah. Strange. But yes, that's why I was using group chat. That's what I thought it did. And I couldn't understand when you said you didn't receive it. I was like, oh, because if you look at the stream, you'll see earlier I sent a group chat exactly the same. We are meeting in the shoe shop. Send me a TP request. So it was exactly the same thing, but it was in group chat, and of course it looks as if group chat means if you're offline, you don't receive them. Group notifications, which is this one at the end, exactly the same message, but you received it. So good to know, But I'll have to make sure I cull some of the old members of the groups. So. In the future, Shiny, did you get the message? And I can add the TP. Yeah, I'm always a bit worried about that. So whether it'll work or not. Let's try it. Group notification. So notices. notice. P 207-01-31. See if that would work.
Yeah, I can see the link.
Yay!
Let me try. I'll go somewhere and I'll be back.
Okay, see if it works. you might end up in the middle of the ocean. Send me a TP request if so. Oh, Monik is brave. Okay. This is more a lesson for me, Shiny, than for you guys today. It looks like it's my lesson. Yay, Monik! Yay! Yes,
I only see the link on the chat, not on the notice on the notification. That's
maybe because you're logged into chat. But if you weren't, you should get a notification top right. Okay. But maybe as you're already in chat, it won't bother sending you a notification too. Okay. But it works! Yay, Monik! Good to know. Okay, so in the future, these sessions, you should get a notification if we're not meeting in the academy. Okay?
Okay, it works.
Thank you, Monik. That'll save me a lot of TPing people around like a lunatic.
Of course. Yeah.
Now, but do remember that when it's date specific, so for example this session, if you were to log in later, this sim will be closed, so you won't be able to TP in. For example, if you tried to TP into winter now, you wouldn't be able to get in because I have to close it so that I don't end up paying a lot of money out for people just leaving their avatars lying around. Okay, so let's actually do the session then, shall we? Cool. I've got a couple of questions for you. Okay. The first thing I'd like you to all join in on this conversation is I'm interested. Last week we talked about if you're not speaking, could you mute? Traum, could you mute? A lot of feedback on your. Ah, thank you. Okay. So last week we talked about shoplifters. Okay, and Traum threatened to steal all the boxes in the shop. You'd have to do more of a ram raid, I think, if you were going to do that. So a ram raid, that's slightly different to a shoplifting. It's not as sneaky. It's literally to drive a vehicle into a building and then to load the vehicle up with whatever you're stealing and drive away. Okay, that's a ram raid. So I think you were threatening a ram raid, Traum. Shoplifting is more taking one or two items, okay, and putting them in your pocket or hiding them up your jumper. People actually have coats specially made for shoplifting. Shoplifters are very... they use a lot of their imagination of how to get away with shoplifting. Okay, so we're going to talk about shoplifters a little bit today and then change the role play depending on how you answer these questions. My first question though to you is, what actually happens to shoplifters in your country if they get caught? So if a shoplifter gets caught, what happens to them in your country? April?
They will catch you just when you want to leave the shop. Somebody comes and take you on and hold your arms and bring you to an office, and you have to open your bag because you will deny, no, I don't do anything wrong. And then if they know it, I think, I've never experienced that, I think they will call the police, because they don't have the right to arrest you actually. They just, after that, yes, call the police. But the guard, the safety guard in the shop themselves, they don't have the right to arrest anybody, I think.
That's right. I mean, basically, they escort you to the office, or they, as you said, they grab hold of your arm and say, "Would you come with me, please?" I mean, what would you do if you went no? What can they do? I guess they'd call the police straight. I mean, no, normally you'd leg it. You know what it means if you leg it? To leg it. Any idea what that means if I said leg it?
Nope.
Run, yeah, well done, Shiny. It means run very quickly, run away, basically. Leg it. No, stop them is grab them. Stop, thief. But to leg it means to run away. Okay. Okay, so and then the secure. By the way, not safety guard, April. A safety guard is more a physical thing. For example, in front of a fire. You have a safety guard to stop people putting their hands, children especially, putting their hands in the fire. It's a security guard. Okay, so the security guard would stop you as you try, and interestingly, April, as you said, when you leave the shop. I think they have to assume that whilst you're in the shop, you still have some kind of intention to pay. But of course, if you've left the shop with the goods, then probably you're trying to leg it. You're trying to get away with the goods. Okay. So, Monique, what happens to shoplifters in your country?
Yeah, I think a little bit the same what April have said, and also, I mean, you have to press charges if you want that he or she has prosecuted. I mean, it's not like okay, you know, it's done, and I can just go away. I mean, if I was the one who, or I don't know, in this case, we are talking about maybe the manager of the shop. So they have to do something else, and then they have just to follow another procedure in order just to do something about it, about that person.
Okay.
If they don't do anything, it means that the person will be released soon. Maybe it would take some hours, I don't know, 24, 48, I have no idea, but they will be released.
Okay.
No matter what.
As you say, it's up to the shop owner or the managers to whether to press charges. Now, do you have signs in shops in your country saying what would happen? Because quite often in the UK, it's horrible because I'm like, I'm not a shoplifter. I don't want to steal your stuff. But the signs are there for everybody. And normally in the UK, it says shoplifters will be prosecuted. And that's like the sign from the shop saying, it doesn't matter what you take, we will prosecute. We will go through all the procedures necessary to have you charged. Okay. Do you have that kind of sign in your country? Shiny?
No, I've never seen something like that.
No, really?
No.
God.
No.
You'll see it everywhere in Germany and in England. April, yes?
They don't fear that.
Yeah. What is to press charges, Lynn? Is it to get penalty?
Yeah, if you press charges, it means you go to the police. I want this person prosecuted. I want them charged, to be charged with the crime. So not like a battery charge, yeah, to be charged with a crime. Because then after that you have to prove it, of course. We'll come to that in a minute. Shiny, you were asking something? You were saying something?
Yeah, sometimes in some places they will post if you steal something, you have to pay about 10 times of it, like that.
Okay, so you have to pay a fine. Oh, okay. So 10 times it's the worth, yeah? 10 times the value of the item.
And what if that person cannot?
Sorry, carry on, Monique? What are you saying?
No, just a question for Shiny. And what if that person cannot pay that amount of money?
I don't know, because they posted it kind of threaten you. Don't do that.
Okay. And what about you, Traum? Do you get these? What happens to people if they shoplift in your country? Do you have these sort of signs in Austria? I can't remember, to be honest.
Yes, some shops have a sign, and the customer will be warned if they steal something. They will hand it over to the police immediately. Yes,
Yeah.
I saw this, and I think it's here similar to April's method. When they escort you to the office, it depends on the manager if they let you go or not. I mean, I haven't done this.
No, I'm
never.
not expecting you to tell from personal experience.
Yes, but I assume it depends on the manager if they hand you out or over to the police. And I think here in the valley, when you know the manager, maybe for I think they won't do it, but it's a shame for the whole family.
Yes, we'll come to that in a minute, whether it's considered shameful or not. It's a strange thing in the UK. The perception of these people has changed. I'll explain why in a bit. Okay, so you wanted to say to hand you over to the police, okay? And it depends on the manager. It's up to the manager. It's up to manager or owner. When it's up to somebody, okay, it means they make the decision. So for example, April has a session today. Don't worry, April, I haven't forgotten. And it's up to her what we discuss in that session and what we do, okay? So it's up to her. She makes the decision. So it's up to the manager, okay?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now,
But what is the fourth? You said that before, Lynn. I don't remember that anymore. So the security guards bring you to the police. What is the verb? The other verb to say that, to bring you with them, to accompany you, or to guide
well, they
you?
ask you to accompany them, okay? Would you come with me?
You
It's
said
normally
another
they'd say.
word.
Oh, I don't know. It's not arrest. You can make a citizen's arrest in the UK, but it's generally not. What kind of thing was I trying to say? So they'd come up to you, take you by the arm, and say, "Would you accompany me, please?" So would you accompany me to the office, please? It's on the tip, actually, not on the top, on the tip. I'm trying to think, what word was I saying? I can't remember. Okay. They charge you. No, they can't charge you. The police charge you. They detain you. To detain, is that the one?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. But I will listen to that.
Yeah, listen to the recording.
this
That's
conversation
it. I'm not.
in the recording.
No, I think it's, I don't know, it was something about to hand over.
Yeah, but another word for hand over. Only one word, I think.
We're going to have to listen to this. You see now why I stream.
Yeah.
You see now why I'm streaming this. Have a look at the replay. It might come to me as we go through the rest of it. Okay. But different countries look at shoplifting in different ways. I mean, in some countries, you really don't want to be a shoplifter. They will throw the book at you. Now, to throw the book at you sounds strange, doesn't it? It's like, here's a book, whack you over the head with it. Do you know what that might mean if you say, we'll throw the book at you?
Something about blame? Someone?
It's not so much blame, because if you can't throw the book at somebody unless you're absolutely certain that they are guilty. But it means to prosecute to the full extent of the law. Okay? He dropped a sweetie wrapper on the floor, but the police threw the book at him because they've been trying to get him for years. So they really went after it, to really go after somebody legally, okay, to throw the book at them, okay. And that's what can happen in some countries, shoplifters. In other countries, people are more relaxed about it. They're like, oh gosh, and they only go after the ones who do it again. You know, the hardened criminals sort of thing. The kids, the old ladies, they don't kind of bother because it's a lot. It takes a lot of effort to prosecute somebody for petty theft. So it depends how much they've stolen, how often, whether they've done it before. Otherwise, it's looked on as a petty theft, and they might just get a caution. Okay. Do you know what a caution is?
A warning?
Restriction.
Yeah. They're basically told they might be banned from the shop. Yeah. Don't show your face in here again. And they might get a caution from the police so that it goes on their record, but it's cleared after a few years and people forget about it. So if it's a one-off, that's more likely to happen. But if they're persistent shoplifters, if they are, and there are professional shoplifters out there, then they're more likely to have the book thrown at them. Okay, so they might be banned from the shop, they might receive a caution, they might be fined, have to pay a fine. Okay, they might have to go for counselling. What do you call somebody? Do you know if somebody can't resist stealing something? It's an illness. Does anybody know what we call that kind of person?
Kleptomania.
Yeah, kleptomania is the illness with a K. Kleptomania, and they're a kleptomaniac. Now it's no good prosecuting a kleptomaniac. They can't help it, so they'd be sent for counselling. They'd get some kind of treatment, some kind of, hopefully, to address why are they stealing, what are they doing it for. Quite often people will steal things they don't want them, they don't need them, they'll just put them in a drawer somewhere, they just can't resist it. Oh, hang on, sorry.
Lynn?
Yes, Trump?
Yeah, I would like to know in England, if someone steals something or is a shoplifter, goes the information into the character reference?
If you get,
is it so bad or isn't it?
In what way do you mean? Can you ask for a character reference? Yes, if you get prosecuted, you can ask for character witnesses or character references at the stage of going to court. Remember when we were doing our legal English and we went to court, and I think Eleanor asked for a character reference to show that she didn't normally go around drunk, riding on pigs. Yeah, so yes, but you wouldn't normally do that at the shop you were being detained. You would do that at the court stage. So it's got that far, that's when you need a character reference. Okay. Monik, you said like Winona Ryder. Is Winona Ryder a kleptomaniac? I didn't know.
Yeah,
allegedly.
The actress. Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll add allegedly.
No, actually, she was caught because of that, and it was I don't know, some years ago, but
okay.
Yeah, but not allegedly, no.
Okay.
I think
just trying to cover myself legally. I don't.
That there are a lot of pieces there. You know?
Oh, bless her. Oh, I hope she got help. It must. I can't imagine how it would feel to be,
Oh my gosh.
It must be awful, mustn't it? When you know and you can't even remember sometimes. How did that get in my pocket? That kind of. I can't imagine what it would be like to know somebody like. I don't even know anybody who suffers from this. Thank goodness. It must be awful though. Sometimes little doddery old ladies do it. They just forget to pay. They're not even kleptomaniacs. They're just forgetful and they forget to pay. So that's why. Quite often it's the discretion of the manager or the owner as to whether to prosecute, whether to bring charges. Yeah. Okay. Now, what kind of people do shoplift? Is there, if you had to if you're the security guard in this shop, who would you be looking out for? What kind of people would you look out for? Could be anyone. Trying to look at you all, thinking you wish. I mean, it must be awful owning a premises if you've got especially high value goods, like shoes and handbags or jewellery. We've got a jewellery shop next door. You must have to look at everybody with suspicion. Perfume, not parfume, perfume with an E. Perfume. That's down to the professional shoplifters. But what kind of people would you look out for if you were profiling? Who would you think? Oh, they look. And as a shop detective, they're sometimes called shop detectives. Okay. Sometimes you're not like a security guard. You dress as if you're a customer, and you would maybe spot somebody and you'd follow them around the shop, keeping an eye on them.
I think a person that stays very long before in front of something, and then she or he goes away and then back again. So it keeps watching there. And don't pay and don't buy anything. Don't take anything to buy. So it is. But I do that also. If I'm not very sure, shall I buy it or shall I not buy it?
We call it acting suspiciously. Yeah? To act suspiciously. Okay. Oh, they're acting suspiciously. So, you okay, so I'm a female, okay? I'm a woman, and then I would go up to maybe hang around the men's shoes and picking them up and looking at them and putting them in the boxes and opening the boxes. Now, that would be a bit suspicious because I'm a woman. There's no man with us. There's no man here today. Marco's and Tufguy haven't turned up today, so I think that would be a bit suspicious. Or I'm an elderly lady and I start looking at the skates. That might be a bit suspicious as well. So you look for people who are acting suspiciously. At the skates tram behind you, there's a whole load of skates, and an elderly lady probably wouldn't go inline skating in the evening. Okay, not ice skates. The ice skates are next to it, but the actual roller skates. Okay. So as an elderly lady, if I was looking at the roller skates, that might make somebody suspicious. Or if I was looking at the men's shoes, that might make people suspicious. Now, young people also. Would you? What would you look out for with my appearance, Monik?
I would think that would be the first is the most visible thing that you can do. I mean, just how that person looks like. And you can start from that. I mean, I'm not telling you that maybe just someone well-dressed cannot steal something, but it's just a start. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it depends on the place, it depends on the shop. But I think that's the first thing that I would see or I would try to look at.
Okay, well, we call that profiling. Okay, and they do profile, and I'm afraid they look at more than what you're wearing for appearance on profiling. Age, often, what you're dressed at, and as you said, you're dressed in Armani suits. They probably wouldn't fit the profile of a shoplifter, but shoplifters are clever. They dress well. They won't go in looking scruffy. However, there's things like what you're what you're wearing. Okay, sorry, I just read makeup. Nowadays, men like browsing along makeup aisles, AISLES. That's what confused me there. I was reading it, saying, what? So nowadays, the makeup aisles. Yeah, absolutely. When men wear makeup too. But what shop detectives might look at is what you're wearing. So if it's a lovely sunny day outside and you've got a big heavy coat on, they would probably think that was suspicious. Because big heavy coats with inside pockets are a favourite amongst professional shoplifters.
if the coat they're wearing is pretty heavy, especially around the pockets.
Yes, exactly. And yes, Monique, you mentioned it earlier. I forgot to say, somebody who's got a big tote bag. Absolutely. Nice big bag just to drop things into. Young people are often profiled as well, and a lot of shoplifters in the UK are young, and they might shoplift because they haven't got much money, or they're just doing it for a dare to join a gang. I mean, it does happen, I'm afraid. And or they just might want that pair of shoes, and their parents have said no, and it's the only way they can think of, and they just want them. They're not even thinking about the consequences. They just want them so much they're willing to steal them. So children and young people, yeah, they do get profiled. And quite often there are bans in shopping centres in the UK on groups of young people. The shop security, quite often you'll have shops with shop detectives in them and security guards in the shopping centre and the security guards will move along groups of children. Sometimes shops will have signs that say no unaccompanied children. Yeah, no unaccompanied young people. Children must be accompanied, that kind of thing. They have to have an adult with them. Because children, well, sometimes they just haven't learnt, or they haven't figured out what's acceptable, what's not acceptable morally, the moral maze, if you like, and popping something in your pocket or your friend's pocket isn't considered a bad thing to do. Yes, security guards might ask them to open their backpacks or empty their pockets. Yeah.
But how can they avoid the alarm gates nowadays? Because almost everywhere you have that alarm.
That's
if
true.
You don't pay,
I don't know because I'm not a professional shoplifter. I've set the alarm off before now, though. I have set the alarm off, even though I've paid for something. If they forget to swipe the thing properly to clear the magnetic strip in the item, and you try to go, it's awful because everybody looks at you. It's so embarrassing. And yes, you're right, Traum. A test of courage, a dare. Yeah. It's happened to you too, Monique. Isn't it embarrassing? You have to go.
God.
You have to stop, and you have to go back and find somebody.
But it's strange because I have a wallet and they remove the pin and everything, but I don't know, but always when I enter to some store,
Oh, no.
oh my gosh, and I just look at the security guard and he laughs because, okay, look at my handbag, my purse, but I mean, is this wallet? And I love that. I love it, but maybe I'll have to change it, and I don't know, it's weird, but sometimes it's something about, and we try to find something else, and we went to the store again and we asked them, okay, you have to do something because it's like it has something, but I don't know what it is actually.
Probably
but all the time,
yeah, it's probably a very thin metal strip somewhere in the lining. And what you can do is you can usually, I don't know if you've noticed, but with some of the clothing, it's a tag that they remove. But for things like books, they kind of dip it into a box, and that clears whatever strip is in that item. And it might be that you need to get them to do that just to clear it. It sort of wipes. I think it must be a magnet or something.
Mhm.
I was going to ask this, Traum, actually. Sorry, Monique, carry on.
No, it's okay.
Okay, yeah, Traum's just said this. Now, that's never happened to me in the UK, but if you take a big shopping bag into a supermarket in Germany, and you know how you can put it into the trolley, ready for packing the items. So you put it in the trolley, and then you put the items on the conveyor belt, and they swipe the items, and then they tell you how much. And then you want to put the items that you've bought and paid for into your shopping bag. If they see it's a big shopping bag, they ask to look in it in case you've snuck something in. And I was mortified. And livid the first time that happened to me, because it's just like, what? It's like accusing you of stealing something. It's interesting that it's in Austria as well, Traum. How does it make you feel, Traum, when they ask you to do that?
Yes, I mean the woman or the man who sits behind the till, they are ordered to ask me. I don't have a problem because I do not have to open my handbag. But when I have a bag with me, then I think it's normal. I mean, there are so
Not
many.
normal. It's just crazy.
I mean, yes, there are so many thieves around, and yes, and so many people, more and more. Yeah, I think that's the way.
Oh, I don't like it. I really don't like it. By the way, thief, singular, thieves. So you got a V sound. Thieves, plural. Okay.
Okay.
So try it. Thief, thieves.
Thief, thieves.
Thieves. It's a little bit more of a V, but that was better. Good. Okay. Now, some shoplifters, as I said earlier, are professionals, and they actually steal to order. So in the UK, there's a TV show that was filmed, and they actually showed these people. They are amazing. They are professional shoplifters. You go to their house and you say, "Oh, can you get me a this or a that or another?" And you pay them a little bit of money, and they go and get it for you. It's incredible. It is. They're the ones that the shops hate with a passion. Okay, they actually exchange photographs of people, but of course they go in disguise, or they move to another area once they're well known in one area. Yeah, professional shoplifters. Now I'm trying to remember the name of the TV show about shoplifting. I'm trying to remember what it was called. I think it was something like Shoplifters and Proud. Okay. And I'm not sure if you might be able to find it online. Okay. Yeah, quite. Sometimes they'll raid a shop and they'll work in as like in teams, if you like. So there'll be somebody receiving the goods, there'll be somebody and it must be a nightmare for the shops. A kind of sport. Well, it's more a way of life for some people, Traum. Truly. And they did this Shoplifters and Proud, and it was quite shocking to me, I'll be honest, how these people view themselves, like little Robin Hoods they see themselves as. Monik, yeah, using children, sending them in.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Awful.
Yeah.
And some people, of course, are doing it out of desperation to fund a drug habit. Quite often, I'm afraid, drugs and alcohol are... the moral compass goes a bit squiffy. You'll do anything to get your next fix. And sometimes they shoplift for other people. Sometimes they shoplift for themselves and sell the goods on. Now, do you know what we call somebody who receives stolen goods and then sells it on? So they'll pay you for something you've stolen. Not a dealer. A dealer tends to be somebody who'll sell you drugs, Traum. Okay? So if you're a dealer, that's the person you go to on the street corner. You say, "Oh, can you fix me up with a little something for tonight?" And yeah, not a pimp. No, they're the sort of person who...
That's another sort of boss. But
that's another sort of crime. Okay, they're the people who deal in prostitutes. Okay, they'll find you somebody for the night or for a couple of hours maybe. So a pimp is more to do with the sex trade, I'm afraid. Okay, I'm actually talking about somebody who receives goods and then sells it. They're called a fence. Which is a weird word, isn't it?
It is. Sense.
And you go down to the pub, the local pub, and there's normally somebody there who's well known for being able to sell. What they'll normally do is give you money, but they'll sell it for a lot more. Okay, but they have the contacts to fence items, okay? And in some ways, some fencers act like pimps because they'll have a whole string of people who they pay to go and shoplift for them. I mean, like Fagin. Have you heard of Fagin?
Nope.
From Oliver Twist.
That's the one, yes, from Oliver Twist. And he was the fence, he was the mastermind, the criminal gang leader, and he would send the children out to pickpocket and shoplift and generally burgle. But he would then get all the kids would bring all the items to him, and he would then sell them, make a lot of money, give the kids a few pennies or just a roof over their head and some food. And we often use that Fagin word as a Fagin, to say a fence that uses children in that way. Okay. But as I say, sometimes people just can't help it, and it's a mental illness, a kleptomaniac, an impulse to take things. So it must be really difficult to be a shopkeeper in the UK nowadays. And you know, I don't know why you'd want to run a shop, because you have to look at everybody. You'd be standing here behind the counter, and everybody who walks in has to be viewed with suspicion. Because they're all going to rob you blind. Isn't it awful?
Lynn?
Yes, Traum, take the mic.
I think there is another problem. It's not called to steal something from someone, but if lots of people like to order on Amazon or all these internet shops, and they order maybe a dress and put it on once or twice and then send it back.
Yes, I've heard that, yeah. To wear it, not put it on. I mean, you put it on, you can try it on, but they wear it to a party, and then they just send it back after a couple of times. And it's not just Amazon. I mean, some shops have this happen. And they'll go in and they'll come back. But eventually the shops kind of get to know who these people are, and they'll just refuse any more returns from them, because there's no actual right of return unless there's a fault in the item. It's up to the shop whether they accept the return or not. And I would think also Amazon's probably got a list of people who are no longer allowed to buy certain items because of this. Yeah, it's common in the UK too. I've never done it. I don't even buy clothes online because I like to touch things. I like to make sure they're nice material and the right kind of finish. But yes, it is a problem. You're quite right, Traum. Good point. Is it shoplifting though? I mean, gosh, that's another kind of. It's like the moral maze again, isn't it? Is it shoplifting? Is it immoral to do that? I think so. If you're doing it deliberately. I think if you're doing it as a matter of course, I think it's wrong. But it's not actually stealing. It's just using the system, if you like. So don't forget to put on something. So put on your coat. Yeah. It's the same as to wear something. Okay. Now you might wear, I'm wearing jeans, boots and my jacket. If I was to go outside at the moment, I'd also put on my coat, and then I'd be wearing a coat on top of it. But then to try on is slightly different. To try on is just to see if it fits, to see if it's comfortable. So Monik is trying on the UGG boots at the moment, I think. Mind you, your leg must be really aching by now, Monik.
So now it's like a sort of exercise.
Yeah. Doing your yoga.
Yeah, that way. Yeah, exactly. Let me change my leg, but I think I can't.
No, I'm afraid it's not that clever. Sorry. Now, what's the big problem with shoplifting, though? And the problem with what you were saying, returning items deliberately after wearing them. What's the problem for society? Is there one? Is it just something we should accept? Because if you watch this program, it's like these shoplifters think it's a victimless crime. I don't know if you've heard this. Yeah. That there's no real victim. Nobody loses out. The insurance company pays. And they kind of justify it to themselves as being, nobody gets hurt. Nobody was hurt. I didn't hurt anyone. What's the problem though? Is there any victim here? Is there any problem? Surely the shops can afford it. But it's not okay. Monik, why?
I think that here we are talking more about principles or morals in some way. And yeah, sometimes you think, oh, they have a lot of money. If I take just one, I don't know, a piece of clothes or whatever, and nothing will happen. But if you start like that, you are just changing and you can do something else next. So I don't think it's not a good idea. I mean, when you take this behavior, I don't know, you can do whatever you want to because it justifies some way. I mean, you will find a way how to justify what you are doing. And no, I'm not okay with that.
As humans, we're quite good at justifying what we do, to be honest.
Exactly. No, but not in that. I mean, when you steal, it's a steal. I mean, you cannot justify that. For me, okay, in my opinion.
No. I mean, this is something where it's your opinion is what counts. There's no right or wrong. Now, Shiny, you just put can't boost economy. I'm so glad you put can't, because when I first read it, I read can boost the economy. We always say the economy, by the way. The economy. It can damage the economy. Yeah, if everybody stops paying for everything, the whole economy is going to collapse, isn't it? Now, that might not be a bad thing, but certainly how we live our lives now would have to change a lot. It can affect the economy, especially of a local area. Shops can move if an area becomes notorious for shoplifting, shops will close. They'll move out of that area, and then the whole economy of the area and the whole way people live in the area is affected. People might just, as I say, I can't imagine somebody wanting to open a small shop if they know every other person that comes in there is going to be trying to steal something from them. Small shops especially. Of course, the family of the shoplifter is affected too. Now, some families are a bit like Fagin's family. Everybody's at it. Everybody's on the rob, so to speak. But if you come from a supposedly respectable family, it's quite a scandal if people around, your neighbours, find out that your son, daughter, mum, whatever, is a shoplifter. How is that a scandal in your country? If somebody's known as a shoplifter, are they ashamed, or is it just like, yeah, so what? You said, Traum, that it would be a scandal in your village, yes? So embarrassing. Okay, Monik, yeah. Your mother would kill you. That's the way morals are developed.
My gosh.
Yes.
I remember my mother saying, okay, you can do whatever you want, but if you steal, okay, my gosh, you cannot imagine what I can do with you. Okay, mom, never, never. So it's something like that, You can just make me stay, but if you steal, so you have that in your mind, Maybe, of course, it comes from, or it stems from your family, of course. And but I know a woman actually, and when I was living with my parents, and she was a neighbor, and actually she was married with a recognized journalist, and that woman, she's kleptomaniac, and we all knew the story about when she was caught by the police because she was stealing clothes in another mall. It was so embarrassing, Oh my gosh, I can't believe it, And she's not a poor person or someone who needed. So we were like, oh my gosh. And that was so, how can you just face that, in front of a lot of people and in the community? It's not easy.
No,
So
absolutely, and it can affect the whole family. And as you say, I mean, kleptomania. Yeah, I think you have to sort of think, okay, sometimes people enter into agreements with places. If my mum comes in and takes this stuff, just give me the bill, I'll pay, because they know they can't help it. So, but that has to be dealt with on a case by case kind of basis, I guess. What about in Japan, Shiny? Is it really a shame on the family if somebody is accused or prosecuted for shoplifting?
I think it's sure a shame, but it's kind of strange. They think human right,
Yes.
so they intend not to show them show who they are. That like if they catch you shoplifting, they just call you back in the office, and they won't. I mean, they'll embarrass you in that office, but they won't. They won't. I mean, leak your information or your things to the neighborhood or kind of these.
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
yeah, you're quite right. I mean, human rights and privacy laws, etc. I mean, people tend not to then publicize. I think one shop tried to show photographs and video footage of people stealing, and they were stopped because it breached the human rights of the people who he'd caught on camera stealing. And that's the big shop detective for most small shops is the video camera, the security cameras that will catch you, normally very grainy footage. But he wasn't allowed to actually keep showing this video footage of these particular thieves because it was against their human rights. Don't steal near, not nearby your place, near your place, or we have a saying. I'm not going to type it up, but it's don't shit on your own doorstep. Okay. It's a bit crude, but I've been in Germany too long that the S word doesn't really affect me anymore. So yeah, basically, don't do it on your own doorstep. Go somewhere else. Now, the big problem as a society that we have is we all pay for shoplifting. Are you aware of that?
What, Lynn? Can you repeat that?
Yeah, we all pay for shoplifting. No, it's not a maybe, it's an absolute. And do you know how we pay for shoplifting? Regardless of society.
maybe,
Yep, carry on.
or maybe it's maybe they try to add something into the final price. I don't know.
Yeah, not
Because
maybe.
I know that
They
the
do. They do.
because there's a huge I mean, it could be huge. I mean, in terms of when we are talking about that sort of losses. I don't know if it's the right word.
Losses.
Losses. Okay, losses. So it's a huge percentage. They have to calculate or have to add it into the final price. So, and it could be, I mean, when we are talking about those I forgot the name, convenience stores, they lose a lot of money.
Yep.
in this
And you
in
can
this,
be absolutely certain that in the UK, prices are increased by around 10% to cover losses from shoplifting. So that's from sweets to cigarettes to alcohol to shoes to handbags. Prices in the UK are increased by as much as that to cover losses made from shoplifting. So we are paying for it in increased prices. And it would be nice if people didn't do it. Now, next week, what we're going to do, we'll finish there for this week, I think, if that's okay. And next week, we'll do the role play. Let me share it with you. So we'll carry out the role play. But what I'd like you to do is we're going to add in a little bit of information about, oh, hang on a second. just trying to find it. Oh, no, that's dress code. Where's last week's text? It was called bags. It was about the bags in the bag shop. Bag shopping role play. Oh, that's very useful. Okay, I'm just going to share it with everybody. If you already have it, don't worry about accepting it. Just ignore it. Okay. So you won't need it again. Okay. But what I'd like you to do is change it, okay, to include 2 more people, a shoplifter and a security guard. Okay. I'd like you to add 2 more roles, a shoplifter and a security guard. Sorry, 3 more roles, and a customer who sees the shoplifter. Now, that's my moral maze question, is how you deal with the customer who sees the shoplifter. Okay, Traum. No, this is for next week, Traum. Okay? Not for this week, for next week. Okay? We're going to finish now, yes, because we're running out of time. So, think about how would the security guard react to a shoplifter? How would a shoplifter react to the security guard? And how would the customer react if they see somebody shoplifting? Would you tell the security guard? Would you tell the shop owner? Would you just be too embarrassed and walk away?
So do we have to write down its part? I mean, in this
in the note card, you can change it, and then next week you give me your note cards, and we'll put them all together. Okay, and we'll come up with an extended role play. Okay. If you have any questions, just ask in the forum. So if you're stuck on any terminology or what a security guard might say, just ask me in the forum, and together we'll sort of build up a longer role play. All right?
Okay.
And for the customer, you could, if you think you wouldn't want your customer to tell anybody, you can just put what the customer's thinking. Oh my God, I think she just put those shoes in her pockets. That kind of thing. Okay.
I think you have to add one more role.
Okay, go on.
A friend. Yeah, the second customer, so you can have also a conversation between the two customers.
Yeah. Well, as many as you want, actually. You can bring the police in if you want. But remember, it's got to be about just enough time to do a 5-minute role play. Nothing. We don't want to go to court, etc. But yes, April, if you want to add a friend as well, yeah. Do you see?
I don't want to be alone.
Do you see that? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I need some company.
Yeah. Shall we go to the police? Shall we not go to the police?
Okay. Yep, you can do that. So in your own note cards, you can work together as well if you want to meet up and work together, or in the forum, whatever. It doesn't matter. But next week, send me your note cards that you've made the changes to, and then we'll put them all together to create a role play. Okay? So not too many people. We don't really want more than 5 roles, because otherwise I'll be ending up having to play 2 or 3 people again. I don't want to do that. But I hope you enjoyed the session, and I'll speak to you, I'm sure, in the next session later. I'm going to go off and cook lunch now, because hubby's still got the flu. So I'm going to make more soup. So we're eating at the moment.
Feed him.
Yeah, feed a fever. Take care then. Bye.
Okay.
I'll leave this sim open for a bit if you want to just poodle around or carry on chatting, but it'll be closed by this evening. Okay, bye.
Bye bye.
Can add the TP. Yeah, I'm always a bit worried about that. So whether it'll work or not. Let's try it. Group notification. So notices. New notice. 2007-01-31. See if that would work.
Yeah, I can see the link.
Yay!
But let me try. I'll go somewhere and I'll be back. Okay.
See if it works. You might end up in the middle of the ocean. Send me a TP request if so. Oh, Monik is brave. Okay. This is more a lesson for me, Shiny, than for you guys today. It looks like it's my lesson. Yay, Monik! Yay! Yes,
I only
April?
see the link on the chat, not on the notice on the notification. That's
Maybe because you're. I'll give you the streaming link, and then I'll show you. Okay? I'll show you what you should see.
I mean, you're talking, Link. You're talking about my group on settings, right? My group settings, right?
Just group profile. Let me share my screen. Hang
Because
on.
all those boxes are checked already. I mean, they are checked by default. Huh?
Okay. Well, I'm just checking with people who didn't receive the notification. They might have unclicked it. So let me give you the link to the streaming. Okay. So
can I? Okay, you are in the group profile. Can you go to notices? You have general, member, and roles, and then you have notices.
okay,
You see that?
I'm working on it. Short moment.
Okay. Okay, so I will try to remember in future to send it via this notices.
Exactly.
I checked.
So if I can just check all these messages, even if I wasn't here. Okay, but the other group chat is completely different. So it's for people
You have to be logged
who are
in.
online.
Ah, thank you, Monik.
Yeah, I know something.
Yeah.
Something.
Well, I just don't use it. I've not used it before. Traum, you were trying to
I
say
have to
something.
use a lot of.
So, Link, I got your notice, and now it disappeared. But I could read what you what you are going to tell us.
So in the future, I will try to. I was using group chats, thinking you would get the message. So I will use group notifications for when we're on a different sim and when you need to TP, ask me for a TP. I mean, I'll always try to keep my eyes open to see when you log in, but sometimes I don't notice and people then log out and think I wasn't here. So in the future, I'll use group notifications. Hey, goody goody, it works.
and it appears also in the group chat, Lynn.
It looks like it, yeah. Strange. But yes, that's why I was using group chat. That's what I thought it did. And I couldn't understand when you said you didn't receive it. I was like, oh, because if you look at the stream, you'll see earlier I sent a group chat exactly the same. We are meeting in the shoe shop. Send me a TP request. So it was exactly the same thing, but it was in group chat, and of course it looks as if group chat means if you're offline, you don't receive them. Group notifications, which is this one at the end, exactly the same message, but you received it. So good to know, good to know. But I'll have to make sure I cull some of the old members of the groups. So okay. In the future, Shiny, did you get the message? And I can. So I'm going to try sending a notification.
I'm sure that we will receive that.
Okay, let's see.
That because that's different.
Okay, what's the date? I'll try and put a date on them because otherwise you don't know what to delete and what's current. 1-31. Okay, So, group message, no attachment, send.
Now it pops out.
Okay.
Pops up. Yep.
Hey. April,
Yeah,
did it
that's
pop
different.
up for you?
Yes, it's a
Trail,
pop-up.
has it popped up for you?
What this is. And you see, Lynn, in the group profile, the last, the one that you think you have sent us, it doesn't appear on that on the box. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, this one was.